Welcome to a walkthrough of the anatomy of a Blackboard course. I'm going to show you how my course is set up, and I've actually set up all the courses that I direct in this way, and you're welcome to use any of this information for your own as you desire. So let's go to one course. Okay, so the core of a course that's set up on Blackboard is over here. It is the content area. And so you'll see that there's some things that come in that menu just automatically that Blackboard actually sets up for people. So you can either hide that or delete it if it's something that you don't want. You also can rename it if you just like a different name better or want to use something custom. What I recommend and what I've seen in some of the courses and readings that I've done about what should be over here in this side menu is some kind of a landing page, which we'll talk about in a minute. Also a welcome page, which may or may not be the landing page. The announcements page, which also may or may not be a landing page. Course information, which is going to be the course syllabus and maybe a schedule and sometimes maybe a list of textbooks. Course content, which will be the PowerPoints or links to things that you want students to have access to. And I relate that to like the day-to-day things that you're going to do in a course, the assignments, and then maybe the calendar and tools. And those two things usually come in that bar, and I usually leave those there. You can see here that I added a custom element to this course, which is the blog that students use to post. It's kind of the mother blog of all the student blogs. And so that's just something that students reference very often through the course. So I went ahead and put it over here as a content area. You might have something like that, but you wouldn't have to. But these other components are really essential in helping students to know exactly where to look to get information and to submit things as well. So let's move on to the more fun part, which is I call it decorating the blackboard. I've heard it also called landscaping or planting flowers on your Blackboard course setup. So the best way to get started on this is to scroll down on the sidebar and open up the customization tab and then click on teaching style. So that's going to open up some options that look like this. I really don't get into changing the course structure. You could, but that's a lot more advanced. So for right now, there's three main things I think you might want to look at. The first one would be the entry point of the course. So this is what I was referring to earlier when I talked about a landing page. It just means when somebody clicks on their Blackboard main page to open up a course, this is the page that's going to show up first. It's kind of like your home page on social media. So it usually is set up as a default on announcements. And that's where I've played around with it a little bit in different courses, but I've actually found that announcements is the most convenient for students. Sometimes people will use a welcome page that just says hello about the instructor, that sort of thing. I'll show you mine in just a minute. But I recommend you use the announcements as your landing page or entry point. So that's what's shown there in the menu. The second thing that you might want to look at under the teaching style is your course theme. So that influences the background colors, the colors of the headings or banners there, and even the font that you might see in the background. So this is a neuro course, so you can see I have one with the brain there. But you can play around with these, and it doesn't change any of the content in your course, so you can just flip back and forth if you want and see how different colors look. For our purposes right now, you're not going to customize anything that's off the menu. So just select whichever one of these floats your boat, and then that's what you can go with as your background or kind of wallpaper for your course. The last thing you might want to choose is a banner, and this is the really fun part, I think. You can just leave it at the default, which just lists the course name. It's not very fancy, but it serves its purpose. It's functional enough. You also can create a custom banner. So I made an infographic and just entered things in and then saved it as an image, and then I uploaded it here. So you also could use, you can custom create a banner on a site like one I use a lot is called Easily, which is www.easel.ly, and it will allow you to create a graphic banner like that, and you just save it as a JPEG or a ping, and or you can even just take a screenshot of it, and then when you go in to select your banner, you're going to browse your computer and select it just like you're putting in an attachment in an email. And then when you save or submit here, it's going to save that, and then that's what's going to show up on your landing page. There it is. So this is my landing page. It's the announcements for this course, and it is what, when somebody just clicks on this course title on my Blackboard there, this is what they come to. So the most recent announcement is put first, and there's a way you can play around with that and put the older announcements first instead of the newer ones, but I don't know why you would do that, so we won't get into that. So that's announcements. Here's my welcome page. And for this, I had to take a couple of courses, which I did through lynda.com to learn a little bit of coding. So it's kind of complicated. I'll be happy to help you with this if you want to get fancy, but you don't have to make columns or put a bunch of pictures or whatever here if you want. You really can just list the things you want people to know about the course. So it's a good idea to put the course description and the learning objectives, and then the ADA statement here. That seems to be what is recommended out in the field. You can also put like a personal statement or message to students here, and then I would, when you tell them that the site is open on Blackboard before the course starts, I would direct their attention to this page, and then it kind of tells them like the first couple of things you need to do before we start meeting for this course. It's good also if you can have the instructor information in this tab so that it tells them who you are and how to get in touch with you and what your office hours are there. All right, so back under customization, another thing you might want to look at is under properties. So here is where you can customize the course name. So instead of having the long kind of weird course ID here, you can actually put the course title, and I like to put the term in which it's taught so I don't get confused and accidentally start posting on the wrong one. But whatever you want to call it here, you can enter, and that's what will show up on students' Blackboard list and yours going forward. This stuff should be already set for you. If you wanted to make it where the course isn't available yet, like if you're just working on it and you don't want anybody to see it yet, you can put no for available. But the better way to do that, and usually how people do it, is to set the dates that the course is going to be available, or that's called the course duration on Blackboard. And so you just go ahead and list when you're going to allow students to start accessing anything in that course there. So right here for course duration is the last thing that you might want to customize there, and then make sure to submit it to save it. Go ahead and show you real quick under course course information. We'll just work our way down that content menu. I have the course syllabus, and I always make a course plan and topic overview, which I try to keep on to one page. Sometimes it goes into two though. That just is sort of a snapshot or kind of at a glance of a course. And just in case you haven't discovered this already, if you put things in as a PDF instead of a Word document, it doesn't download to the student's desktop. It just shows it to them right there. So look how that does. So that's my course syllabus. And here's the overview that I actually have on a Google Doc, but that's kind of what it looks like for this course. And you could do it as a Google Doc. I did it that way because I knew that I might be adding to it, and that way it's more of a dynamic document there. But you also can just post it as a PDF, and students can they can print it or whatever if they want. But it seems like most students these days just keep it right here and look at it whenever they want in this form of reference material. So moving down, course content, what I do is I create a folder for every time that we're going to meet, and then I put what the topic is, what they need to do to prepare, if there are any special notes there, and then whatever materials go along with that course, whether that comes from before the course, like a PowerPoint, during the course, like sometimes I'll write stuff on the chalkboard or the dry erase board during class, and I'll take a photo of it and then later upload it. Or if it's something afterwards, like if I do a poll during class or something and I want to let students have access to it, I'll post all that within that folder. So that's an example. And again, if you post it as a PDF, it doesn't download it to all over people's desktop. It just keeps it right there. And they can still download it if they want, but they don't have to, like you do if it's a Word document. So that's course content. And another thing I started doing is I'll change this heading to a color instead of black once we've met for that course meeting time. So, and you can see at this, like if it's in blue, it was on the midterm. If it's in green, it's going to be on the final. And you can tell right here, the sessions that we haven't met for yet are still in black. So that's just an easy way that students and I can skim down and see where we are in the course. That's just a little fancy decorating. Assignments are where I put and I have a little graphic here, and I put each of the major assignments, and I make a folder for it, and so I'll have all the information there. Sometimes I make a screencast of how they need to do something, or and in here I'll put any materials they need, and sometimes I'll put an example of something that's really good, or like a don't do this kind of example, a non-exemplar, and then also submission sites so that it's set up so if they then click on that, it takes them to where they're going to actually submit that. It tells them the due date and the points and all that. So that's under assignments. The calendar looks like this, so that things that I have added into the calendar should populate here so that it's just kind of at a glance for that if they want to look at that. And then tools is how they get to the grade book and other things like that. I'll show you just for a point of interest the blog here that's the mother blog of the students. These are all the student blogs here on the right side. And then I'll occasionally post something that's going on in the course, or a reference I want them to look at, but then you can go from there to each of the students' blogs just to see. So anyway, that's a little bit of fancy stuff too, and maybe something to look at in the future. But for right now, if you have those main course content tabs over there, and that's the way you organize your course, and we can be pretty consistent with that, then students won't have to click around so much and look for where information is about either the instructor, the course, the expectations, or how to submit an assignment there. So let me know if I can help. I'm happy to help you decorate your page or set it up, and hope this has been helpful.